Stop overthinking now. 3 essential Stoic tips to unlock mental clarity forever. In the shadowy corners of a dimly lit cafe, whispers curl around secrets older than time itself. People huddled in their seats, as if shielding themselves from a storm brewing just outside. Rumors buzz like angry wasps about a rare manuscript, one that claimed to hold the keys to unlocking the human mind, a guide from long-forgotten philosophers who had tasted both despair and triumph. Every word, every phrase seemed to hum with promise, but the price of that knowledge? A dark omen loomed over those who dared to seek it.in that very cafe. A cracked leather book lay open, its pages whispering under the touches of curious fingers. The first strange element: each character in the book was inexplicably alive. They moved, twisted, and gasped, as if longing to tell their own tales. A shadow flickered across the page, catching the eye of a young woman named Clara, who had ventured in seeking clarity for her chaotic life. The moment she laid her hands on the book, she felt an icy grip tighten around her chest. The words spoke to her, to the nagging doubts that kept her awake at night. Each writing seemed to pulsate with malevolent glee, teasing her to take a step closer. What might happen if she did? Clara could hardly breathe as tension rose like a tightrope walker teetering above an abyss. This was about more than just steps. It was an invitation to face her demons. As she hovered between excitement and fear, she caught a glimpse of another table where an older man's weathered hands clasped an identical book. His eyes darted nervously, and he mumbled something about escape and the truth. The other patrons leaned in, straining to catch every hushed syllable. Clara's heart raced. What truth could be so potent, so transformative, that it paired with dread? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. In that moment, Clara felt the ground beneath her shift. Suddenly, the cafe felt like a stage, each face turned towards her, expectant. It was clear she was at a crossroads. The words from the book felt like a seductive whisper, inviting her deeper into a realm where clarity was not simply given, it was fought for, clawed at, and bathed in the cold sweat of fear. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. The pressure in her chest rose to a crescendo as the older man shot her a look filled with terror. Don't trust it, he mouthed silently. What truth did he know? What awaited where knowledge intertwined with madness? She had to make a choice, and time was running out. Clara's heart thudded like a trapped bird in her chest. Sweat broke out along her brow as her gaze flicked back to the man. His lips moved again, frantic. It's not just a book. It's a curse, he hissed. The words carved into her like a jagged stone. She wanted to look away, to dismiss him, but the urgency in his eyes anchored her. Without thinking, she moved to stand. The other patrons watched, a stillness spread through the cafe as though its life force had drained away. Clara's fingers danced nervously across the pages of the book. A voice, a low, seductive whisper, trickled from the pages. Fear holds you back. Embrace the unknown, Clara. The words wrapped around her, thick as smoke. She searched the faces around her, desperate for a lifeline, a sign. But their expressions were a blend of fear and morbid curiosity, as if they were all caught in the same unseen web. The older man's hands trembled. Please, Clara. It's not what you think. There's a reason they hid this. She glanced back at the book, its pages swirling as if alive, dancing with the promise of enlightenment so potent it made her dizzy. The pull was magnetic, irresistible. Inside her, the familiar chorus of doubt screamed louder. But then a silent question echoed deeper. What if she could finally be free of the chaos that ruled her life? Clara. The man's voice cut through her doubts. You don't know what you're signing up for. It'll take everything from you. Your memories, your sanity. His eyes widened, urgency spilling out of every pore. You could lose yourself forever. A chill ran down her spine. She could almost feel her identity slipping through her fingers like sand. Why do you care? She asked, the words escaping her lips unbidden. You have your own book, don't you? Because I didn't listen. He crashed the table with his fist and the noise echoed through the silence. I thought I was stronger. I thought it could help. Instead, it unleashed the darkest parts of my mind. I can't escape, none of us can. Clara's breath caught, the weight of possibility crushing her. The shadows crept closer, curling around the edges of her vision. She felt the allure of knowledge pushing against the fear. But what do I have to lose? Everything, he snapped, eyes blazing. You know things, terrifying things that will haunt you. Another voice, softer this time, curled its way into her thoughts. Knowledge is power. But with power came responsibility and risk. With a sudden surge of desperation, Clara closed the book, silencing its tempting whispers. The quiet was abrupt, unsettling. She could feel the rhythmic beat of her heart and echo in the charged air. Maybe it would be better to know nothing, she murmured more to herself than anyone else. But even as she spoke, the nagging fear clawed at her insides. She was standing on a cliff edge. What if retreating meant losing control, losing the chance to understand her life, her chaos? The older man was shaking his head, pleading. Don't do it. Clara's gaze remained fixed on the book. The others in the cafe were waiting, bated breath in their throats. What was she really afraid of? A flash of emotion crossed her face, determination. She resolved to face whatever lay ahead, even if it meant confronting her worst fears. With resolute fingers, she opened the book again. This time, she wouldn't let it trap her. She would command it. As the words shifted and began to swirl wildly, Clara realized the choice was no longer just hers. The moment hung in the air, heavy and electric. Was she truly ready to step into the unknown, to sacrifice everything for the promise of clarity? Before she could find an answer, the cafe door swung open with a crash. A figure loomed outside, silhouetted against the harsh light, and all eyes turned to the new arrival. Clara. The figure shouted, urgency painting their every move. You have to come with me. They're coming for you. Pulsing anxiety ignited a fresh wave of fear. Clara's heart dropped. Who were they? And what had she unwittingly awakened? Clara's pulse quickened as she locked eyes with the figure, tall, shrouded in a dark coat that fluttered like a storm cloud in the wind. Panic coursed through her veins, and instinct kicked in. She wanted to run, to escape the chaos that seemed to grip the cafe like a vice. Who are you? She managed to stammer, her voice barely rising above a whisper. The emotion swirling inside her threatened to erupt. The newcomer stepped into the dim light, revealing a face filled with distress and urgency. My name is Alex. We don't have much time. He glanced back over his shoulder, as if expecting shadows to suddenly materialize. Why are you here? Clara asked, uncertainty battling against her immediate sense of danger. Because you've opened the book. His words came out in a rush, a wave of panic crashing over the solemn atmosphere of the cafe. And now you're in danger. The older man from before raised his hands in disbelief. You can't be serious. She has no idea what she has done. You don't understand. It's not just about her, Alex shouted fiercely, his eyes cutting through the crowd. Once she opens it, it alerts them, the keepers of the curse. They'll come for her. The cafe patrons shifted uneasily. Clara felt her heart leap into her throat. Keepers of the curse. What does that even mean? Alex stepped closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial hush. They guard the knowledge that was never meant to be unleashed. This book is a conduit, a portal to unimaginable horrors. You've invited them in. A thick silence settled over the room as Clara's mind raced. She looked back at the book, which now felt like a living entity pulsating with dark energy. Was her curiosity truly worth this terror? Could she simply close it again and pretend none of this had happened? Clara, listen to me. Alex's voice pierced through her spiraling thoughts. We need to go. Now. They can manipulate time and space. They'll know every move you make. Panic flickered in her chest, mixing with an unbearable urge to understand. Who were these keepers? What sort of horrors lurked just beyond the veil? Yet, she felt pinned down by curiosity, an overwhelming desire to learn more. With a sudden determination, she shook her head. No. I need to know what this all means first. The older man stepped in front of her, desperation etched across his face. You don't understand, Clara. You're playing with forces that are beyond comprehension. Choose. Their knowledge or your life. But Alex was already shaking his head. Don't listen to him. The consequences have already begun. Time is running out. In that moment, shadows began to stretch longer across the cafe, dark forms creeping in from the corners, rising like a tide. Soft whispers filled the air, winding around her thoughts. The cafe patrons flinched, dread filling their eyes. The room felt colder, and Clara shivered, inching closer to Alex. What do we do? Follow me. He urged, and without thinking, she sprinted towards the door. The cold air hit her face like a slap as they escaped the cafe, the whispers following closely behind. But Clara glanced back, part of her still bound to the book. Wait, my things. There's no time. Alex grabbed her arm. They'll be here any moment. We have to move. As they dashed down the street, Clara's mind churned with fear and confusion. She felt like she was being pulled in two directions, one toward the book, the other into the unknown with Alex. The streetlights flickered ominously above them, casting erratic shadows along the cracked pavement. Clara's breath came in sharp bursts as she caught tiny glimpses of dark figures forming in the distance. Who are they? She gasped, terror tightening around her chest. Keepers, Alex replied, glancing over his shoulder. And they want nothing more than to reclaim what you've unleashed. Every instinct told Clara to run, yet something deeper, a burning question, urged her to confront the truth. What if I want to face them? What if I want to know? You don't know what you're asking. He shouted back, panic flaring in his eyes, but Clara felt her heart racing, not just with fear, but with resolve. I have to. I can't shrink away, I need to know what I'm up against. As looming shadows began to close in, Clara took a step forward, planting her feet firmly on the ground. Alex looked at her, a whirlwind of emotions in his gaze. Whatever you decide, know this, they won't stop until they have you or the book. The words hung heavy in the air, and Clara felt the walls of her reality beginning to crumble. The choice ahead was no longer just about knowledge, it was life and death. In the depths of her mind, the question swirled anew. Was she truly ready to face what awaited her, or had she already crossed too far? Clara took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever would come next. What had she truly awakened? And how much of herself was she willing to lose in this fight? Clara stood firm, her heart pounding in her chest as the shadows swirled around her like a dark mist. The air crackled with a tension that could almost be tasted, and she felt Alex's urgency seep into her bones. For a brief moment, it felt like time had stopped. The chaotic city behind them faded into an echo of distant sirens and hurried footfalls. Clara. Alex's voice broke through her fog. They're closer than you think. We can't wait for them to appear. The words crashed over her like waves, threatening to drown her in dread. But still, the fire of determination flickered in her. We can't run forever, she insisted, her voice steady despite the fear twisting her insides. I need answers. I can't hide, not anymore. Alex looked at her, his expression a blend of frustration and admiration. If we confront them, we need a plan. They aren't just shadows, they're deadly. What do you know about them? Clara pressed, inching closer as the shadows stretched ominously. They draw power from fear, from uncertainty. They feed on what you don't understand, he explained, his brow furrowed. And they'll exploit that fear to manipulate you. But how do we stop them? She asked, gripping his arm tighter. Knowledge is our only weapon. Alex's gaze turned intense. We have to turn the book on them. If we can find what is hidden within its pages, we might be able to negotiate. But first, you must open it again. Clara's heart raced at the thought of the book. It had sparked this nightmare, yet it held the key to her survival. How do we do that? She asked, feeling the weight of the decision crush down on her. He scanned the darkened street, the tension thick in the air. We'll need a safe place. Somewhere they can't track us easily. As if summoned by her thoughts, shadows began to form around a nearby alley, the atmosphere brimming with malice. Clara's breath caught, it felt as if eyes were watching her, unseen yet palpable. Come on. Alex urged, grabbing her hand and sprinting towards the alley. The ground was slick, the scent of rain mingling with something acrid that clawed at her throat. Clara stumbled but caught her balance, propelled by adrenaline. As they dashed into the darkness of the alley, Clara could hardly think, her mind racing through questions and doubts. What if I fail? What if they get me? You won't fail, Alex reassured her, but the tremble in his voice betrayed his own fears. We'll face them together. The deeper they moved into the alley, the more she could sense the oppressive force of the keepers. Suddenly, a chilling whisper rustled through the space, curling around them like smoke. Clara. She froze, the sound pulling her deeper into the shadows. Did you hear that? She whispered, a shiver running down her spine. Alex nodded, tightening his grip. Stay close. We're almost there. Emerging into a small, deserted courtyard, they found stone walls etched with symbols that seemed to pulse in the dim light. A flicker of hope ignited in Clara's chest. This looks significant. Exactly, Alex said, glancing around, reading himself. This is where we can draw energy from the book, a grounding site. It'll help us fight back. Clara's pulse quickened as she reached into her bag, retrieving the book. It felt impossibly heavy, as though the secrets inside were begging to be released. The symbols on the wall reflected the vibes of ancient knowledge, pulsing in time with her racing heart. Now, open it. Focus on the keeper that scares you the most, Alex instructed, his eyes wide with anticipation. Clara's fingers trembled, hovering over the pages. Would it truly help her? What if it unleashed something worse? The room felt like it held its breath, waiting for her choice, but she couldn't hesitate anymore. With a deep breath, she opened the book. The moment the pages turned, A loud hum resonated through the courtyard, wrapping them in an electric energy. Shadows shrieked, swirling violently, and the symbols on the walls glowed brighter, intensifying the darkness around them. "Clara!" Alex shouted over the rising roar. "Don't look away!" As the energy surged, glowing figures began to form in the shadows, their features twisting into nightmarish shapes. Clara's heart raced. She was filled with dread, yet an overpowering urge to understand the truth hit her square in the chest. What horrors had she truly unleashed with her choice? And as the shadows crawled closer, she realized the most significant question was no longer about fear, but about how far she was willing to go to confront her darkest truths. The moment Clara opened the book, chaos erupted. The shadows twisted and writhed like an angry ocean, echoing the cries of something deep and primal. She felt the ground tremble beneath her feet, a pulse that mirrored her own racing heart. "Concentrate!" Alex shouted, his voice barely piercing through the cacophony surrounding them. Clara swallowed hard, trying to shut out their tortured screams. She focused on the words etched into the book as ancient pages. "I need to find out what you are," she called, her voice ringing out, full of defiance. The swirling shadows paused, a split second of hesitance as if they had heard her. "You seek knowledge?" A voice erupted from the mouths of the wailing figures, resonating with rage and hunger. "Knowledge comes at a cost, Clara. What do you want from me?" she managed to ask, her stomach twisting. "You must relinquish what you fear the most," they replied, their forms morphing, faces shifting into the visages of Clara's nightmares, representations of her deepest insecurities, each one more haunting than the last. Clara felt her throat tighten. She had spent years running from these fears, burying them beneath layers of survival. "I want to give in," she shouted defiantly, though doubt crept in, a treacherous whisper in her ear. "Refusal only feeds us," the shadows hissed, slithering closer, their cold tendrils brushing against her skin. Alex stepped forward, his stance protective. "We have the power to fight back," he declared, channeling his own fear into raw energy that illuminated the darkened courtyard. "You're not alone, Clara." Feeling supported, she fought to regain her focus. "What must I sacrifice?" "Your certainty," the Shadowkeeper replied, its voice like a creaking door. "Embrace the chaos you dread. Only then can you find true power." Clara hesitated, her mind racing. It was a terrifying suggestion. Letting go of certainty meant plunging into the unknown. Could she really confront that? But as she glanced at the glowing symbols on the walls, representations of knowledge and understanding, she felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. "All right," she said, her voice quavering but resolute. "I will face my chaos." As soon as she spoke those words, the air around her changed. A whirlwind of energy erupted from the book, enveloping her and Alex. The shadows screamed, but now they were no longer vengeful, they were desperate. They sought to grab onto her fears, but she countered them with her sheer will. "You don't own me. I am more than your shadows," Clara yelled, feeling strength surge in her veins. In an explosive burst, bright light radiated from the book, slashing through the darkness. The surreal shapes of fear started to shrivel, unraveling like dying smoke. Clara and Alex stood firm, hands clasped tightly together, tethered by determination. With one final scream, the shadows imploded, leaving behind a silence so profound it hummed in her ears. Clara panted, adrenaline coursing through her like wildfire. "What just happened?" she asked in disbelief, glancing at Alex, who was equally stunned. "I think you struck a deal," he said cautiously, still eyeing the now empty courtyard. "But what does that mean?" The book lay still, emitting a soft glow, its pages now fluttering like anxious wings. Clara stepped closer, sensing there was something more she had yet to uncover. "Let us see what else it holds," she murmured, feeling an inexplicable pull. Suddenly, the distant whispers returned, lingering softly, echoing against the stone walls. "Knowledge comes at a cost, knowledge comes at a cost." Clara's heart raced anew. What more would she have to give up? What fragments of her reality remain unturned? With a newfound energy, she opened the book again, but this time, a chilling question lingered, hanging heavy in the air. What other truths lay ahead, waiting to shatter her understanding of everything she believed? As Clara opened the book, a pulse of energy shot through her like a jolt of electricity. The air thickened, a tangible darkness reaching out to snatch her breath. Shadows flickered, coiling and writhing grotesquely around her. "Clara, be careful," Alex warned, his voice strained. He shifted closer, instinctively shielding her from the encroaching chaos. But Clara was lost in the pages of the book. Words flashed before her, glowing with an unearthly light. Each letter hummed with the resonance of old knowledge, powerful yet terrifying. "Show me what you can do," she whispered, mesmerized, ready to embrace whatever truth awaited. The whispers intensified, echoing in her mind, a chant that quickened her heartbeat. "You seek power, but power demands more. Don't listen to them," Alex urged, grabbing her shoulder. His grip was firm, grounding in the swirling madness. "We can take this back. We have the strength." But Clara shook her head, a fire igniting within her. "No, I need to know." She felt an urgency throbbing inside her. What strength lay hidden beneath her layers of fear? Suddenly, the book sprang to life. Pages flipped rapidly, flipping from one chaotic image to another, a city on fire, collapsing bridges, shadows swallowing light. Then, the images froze, and a single sentence materialized, glowing on the page: "To break your chains, you must first accept your shackles." "What does that mean?" Clara murmured, feeling the weight of the words. "Your insecurities are not the enemy," the shadows hissed, their voices thick with disdain. "They are the fabric of your being. Until you embrace them, you will never be free." Clara felt a chill creep down her spine. "But they hurt. They suffocate me." "Exactly," the shadows cooed, their tone shifting to something soft and persuasive, like a lover's whisper laced with venom. "And you would rather drown than breathe deeply," they countered, their forms shifting into more familiar faces, those of loved ones now twisted by her perception. "Stop!" Clara shouted, her voice shaky yet fierce, struggling to push back the tide of fear. She turned to Alex, who looked both protective and terrified. "How do I break free?" "We face it. We face everything together," he said, his voice steady. "You have me. Whatever it takes. I won't let you go down this path alone." Taking a deep breath, Clara felt a swell of emotion. The shadows coiled tighter around her, trying to snuff out her growing courage. "Then let us do this." With a surge of will, she hurled her head back and screamed, pouring everything she had into the sound. The sheer force rippled through the air, shaking the stone walls. The shadows recoiled, retreating momentarily, but not for long. "Energy spent on defiance holds no permanence," the dark shapes moaned. "Your power lies in submission." "No!" Clara yelled, defiance fueling her. "I will not submit." As if drawn by her declaration, the symbols on the walls began to shimmer. Ancient runes glowed a vibrant yellow, pulsing like a heartbeat. Clara felt a connection with them, an invitation to harness their power. "Embrace the chaos," the book echoed, "but do not become it." With a deep breath, Clara released her fear, willing herself to face the shadows. They surged forward, desperate but now infused with urgency. She lifted her hands, feeling the energy shift as she channeled her personal chaos, anger, sadness, regret into raw, unfiltered energy. A beam of golden light erupted from her palms, splitting the shadows, illuminating things long buried. Clara saw her fears not as tormentor but as mirrors reflecting her strength. "I herald my truth," she shouted, and the shadows writhed in agony. They were losing their hold, the courtyard erupted into light, blinding and fierce. Clara felt an exhilarating rush as the shadows screamed, dispersing into nothingness. She and Alex stood frozen in the center of the chaotic light, cloaked in a new reality of acceptance. "Is it over?" Alex gasped, trying to catch his breath. I don't know." Clara's voice trembled, uncertainty creeping back in. "But if I face this, what else is left to uncover?" Suddenly, the book fell open to a blank page. The room pulsed with a dark energy. One final chilling whisper echoed, "You've only begun to scratch the surface." More sacrifices await as fear clawed its way back. Clara's heart raced anew. What more lay hidden in the shadows, just beyond her grasp? The light slowly dimmed, leaving the overwhelming silence in the courtyard thick and suffocating. Clara stood there, trembling, her heart battling the rising dread. Had they done enough? She ran her fingers over the book, still open and blank, feeling its weight in her hands. "I don't like this." Alex's voice broke through her thoughts, tinged with apprehension. He scanned their surroundings, as if expecting the shadows to return at any moment. "What does it mean that it's blank?" I think it's waiting for something," Clara replied, her voice hollow and barely above a whisper. Then, without warning, the ground lurched beneath them. Clara stumbled, the world tilting as if it were unraveling at the seams. The once solid stone beneath her now felt like a wave, shifting and unstable. "Alex!" she called out, reaching for his hand. He grabbed her wrist, his grip strong, but the pull of darkness was relentless. The silhouettes returned, swirling around them like smoke, their whispers echoing menace. "You thought you could banish us with light? You've only stirred us, awaken our hunger. Get back!" Clara shouted, raising the book as if it were a shield. A flicker of illumination pulsed from its pages, faint but present. "I am not afraid." But the shadows laughed, a cacophony of cruel voices. "Fear is not your enemy, Clara. It is your birthright." As if guided by an unseen force, the book flickered with color, a spectrum of emotions spilling forth. Clara felt each one. The joy stole her breath, but the sorrow weighed down her heart. They enveloped her, a whirlwind spinning between ecstasy and anguish, blurring the lines. She couldn't swallow the mixture of urges crashing inside her. "Focus," Alex urged, annoyance flashing in his eyes. "Channel it. Don't let it control you." But Clara felt her sanity slipping. How could she control a storm raging within? "What if I can't?" she questioned, panic lacing her words. "Then let it out," he commanded, fear and strength battling in his tone. With a deep breath, Clara closed her eyes, visualizing each emotion, however raw and painful. The joy, that fleeting memory of freedom, settled in her chest, while rage ignited in her core. "I can do this," she chanted softly, each word grounding her in reality. "Listen to her." The shadows hissed, claws scraping at her resolve. "You cannot wield what you do not own. Your emotions bind you, they are shackles." "Stop!" Clara shouted. In a heartbeat, everything shifted. The cacophony ceased, replaced by a serene stillness. The shadows momentarily hesitated, their forms flickering uncertainly. She opened her eyes, drawn by an inner strength now rippling through her. "Are you feeling it?" Alex whispered, his voice laced with wonder. Yes. She breathed, reveling in the clarity flooding over her. They're not my enemies, they're pieces of me. Then show them, he urged, determination seeping into his tone. Clara took a step forward, hands outstretched. You are part of my existence. You have no power over me. A vibrant energy exploded from her fingertips. The shadows writhed, the light slashing through their forms, dispersing the dark entities. A resolve ignited inside her, a passion that felt unstoppable, yet, as the shadows howled in fury, the book fled once more. A new image flickered into existence on its pages, an ancient stone altar, bloodstained, with a careless inscription, "To gain wisdom, one must offer their greatest fear." What the hell does that mean? Alex shouted, shock etched across his face. Clara's heart sank, dread creeping back in. I think it means, she faltered, trying to steady her breath, we're not finished yet. What do we have to lose? Alex asked, taking a step closer. Everything, Clara whispered, staring at the book, her voice trembling. The next test loomed ahead, monstrous and unclear, an unspoken pact shrouded in shadows. Uncertainty tightened its grip around her throat, stifling. The ground shifted again, drawing her inexorably toward that altar, an inevitable pull toward the unknown. Clara swallowed hard, gripping the book tightly. Let us find out what comes next, a crack in. Time echoed behind her, dark and insistent. As she took a step forward, a chill raced down her spine. What if the true sacrifice was still lurking just beyond her reach? Clara felt the air around her thicken, as if the tension crackled like static. Alex's breath quickened behind her. She wiped sweat from her brow, her heart pounding in rhythm with the pulsating energy radiating from the book. It felt alive in her hands, as if it sensed the stakes rising. Clara, Alex murmured, his voice a tightrope of anxiety. You don't have to do this alone. I know, she whispered back, but the weight of the altar's presence loomed larger than her fear. But I can't turn back now. Each step toward the altar felt heavier, the shadows swirling closer, resentful of the light she now wielded. The bloodstained stone glowed ominously, and the inscription throbbed in her mind. Offer your greatest fear. What terrified her the most? Not the shadows, they were just a reflection of her inner turmoil. But the thought of losing Alex? The idea of failing him felt like a blade lodged deep in her chest. Clara. A sudden scream from off in the distance jerked her attention. The courtyard flickered back to life, and she half-turned, breath caught in her throat. She could see him, figure flailing, fighting the darkness that had overwhelmed others in the past. Help! A girl's voice echoed. Please. The shadows laughed again, taunting. See? You are too late, your fears will consume you. No. Clara snapped, clenching her fists. I can't let them take anyone else. Not again. Alex stepped closer, his fixated gaze piercing through Clara's swirling doubts. Fear holds no power over you unless you let it. Remember what you learned. Remember what you felt. He braced her shoulders, grounding her in that moment. Clara's pulse steadied with his firm grip. She turned back to the altar, summoning courage from within. The shadows writhed, their claws grappling at her resolve, but she willed herself to stand taller. Stand down. She shouted, her voice echoing ferociously through the courtyard. You have no authority here. The shadows recoiled, their whispers reduced to his fury. Clara placed her hand on the altar, feeling its cold surging energy. Memories slashed through her mind of moments lost, of love, and the sting of betrayal. This was her sacrifice, but it wasn't just her fear, it was the pain she had carried, the grief of friendships that had crumbled. I'm offering my fears, but I refuse to let them break me. I will turn them into strength. She raised the book, feeling the light build from within. The stone beneath her vibrated violently, and the shadows began to swirl outward. Clara focused, pulling strength from her memories, bridging the past pain with present determination. The altar itself seemed to awaken, responding to her call, the darkness around it retreating, writhing in agonized surprise. This is it. Alex encouraged, his voice like a beacon. You can do it, Clara. With a final surge of will, Clara let all of her fears flood into the book. This is what I fight for. As the last remnants of darkness dissipated, she found herself standing alone, the air thickening again with a new kind of energy. The shadows faded into mere whispers on the wind, leaving a heavy silence behind. But the intense weight of choice still pressed upon her. Did they truly succeed? Or was this merely the calm before another storm? Then, with a sudden rustle, the book began to glow anew, the pages flipping wildly, revealing a new, terrifying symbol. Above it, an ominous warning: the sacrifice opens the door, but will you dare to cross the threshold? Clara stared wide-eyed, the dread creeping back in. What horrors awaited them on the other side? The air crackled as Clara stared at the glowing book, the strange symbol pulsing like a heartbeat against the darkness. Shadows danced at the edge of her vision, whispering doubts that threatened to pull her under once more. What does it mean? She breathed, fear clawing at her throat. Next to her, Alex tensed, eyes darting from the book to the impenetrable dark beyond the altar. It means we have to make a choice, he said, voice steady yet laced with urgency. Wherever this leads, we are either going to face it together or down into the abyss. Clara's heart hammered in her chest. She could feel the weight of the words dangerous and mesmerizing. The figure from before became clearer in her mind, a girl reaching for help, her face a portrait of terror. Clara clenched her fists tighter, that image driving her forward. Those shadows wouldn't claim anyone else. What if we're wrong? What if we fail? The question lingered in her mind, unfurling like a dark cloud. But the flicker of determination ignited deep within her core. For everyone we've lost, for everyone still fighting, we have to be brave. Alex's voice sliced through her trepidation like light through dark waters. If we turn back now, without trying, his words trailed off, but the implication hung thick in the air. The book shone brighter, and another chill swept through the courtyard. Shadows surged forward. This was it, the ultimate test. Clara reached out to grab the pages, her hand trembling. But she steadied herself, digging deep for that well of courage. I won't be afraid, she declared, voice ringing clear. She flipped one page, revealing a shimmering path, leading into an even darker abyss beyond the altar. Clara. The girl's voice called again, echoing through her thoughts. Don't leave me. It was a plea soaked in desperation, resonating with Clara's own fears. Let us go, she said, heart racing. She could feel Alex's presence solidly beside her, grounding her resolve. Together, they stepped forward, crossing the threshold transported them into gloomy depths, where the light from the book flickered, illuminating the twisted shapes around them. Clara squinted, trying to make sense of what lay ahead. Instead, a thick fog enveloped them, stinging the air with a metallic taste. Shadows twisted and turned, whispering chaos into her ears. Alex's voice, closer now, barely pushed through the pervasive weight of anxiety. Do you feel that? What? She shot back, straining to see through the mist. It's different, he said. The shadows seemed to be alive, crawling along the ground as if searching for something. This isn't just fear. It suddenly, a low growl emanated from the void, sending shivers down Clara's spine. It was more than just darkness, it felt hungry. The ground below them trembled. The distance echoed with whispers. "Turn back, leave, fear is your fate, no!" Clara shouted, her voice steady and defiant. "We will not be frightened into submission." But the fog thickened, drawing her deeper into the unknown, where reality itself twisted into nightmarish scenes. She could see faces, friends, loved ones, and the girl from before they twisted and curled into shadows, pleading with her. "Clara! Help!" The girl's frantic cry tore at her heart, each scream grated against her resolve. "What is happening?" She turned to Alex, searching for reassurance. His gaze was hard, darkening in realization. "These are our fears taking form." Panic surged in her chest. They stood at the precipice of true horror, but together, they could dismantle this dark edifice constructed from their insecurities. "Stay strong." Clara took a step forward, arms extending into the opaque void. "We can face this." Suddenly, a new presence lurked behind them, nefarious whispering wrapped around them like barbed wire. Clara turned, dread clawing at her heart. "Do you think you can escape?" The shadows taunted, slinking closer. "What if your next decision is your last?" As the looming figure emerged from the mist, Clara's heart sank. Even with Alex by her side, would they be strong enough to confront the essence of their worst nightmares? With a forceful inhale, Clara braced herself. The darkness swirled around them, and she resisted the chilling grip of fear. What will we find when the mist clears? But the question hung unanswered, teasing the edge of another desperate revelation. Clara steadied herself as the mist thickened, feeling Alex's presence solidify her resolve. The haunting whispers slid through the air, taunting her with shadows of doubt. The chilling figure edging closer was a shadow without form, yet it held every fragment of her greatest fears. "You can't escape," it crooned, its voice a sinister blend of every doubt she'd ever faced, but Clara inhaled deeply, grounding herself. "You don't control me," she declared, her voice gaining strength. The swirling darkness flickered at her words, momentarily unsure. But the specters of her past surged forward, their anguished forms imploring her for compassion. Friends turned enemies, missed opportunities, unresolved pain, all haunting her like restless spirits seeking closure. "This isn't real," Alex whispered fiercely. "It can't be. We are strong enough to face this, together." His words were a lifeline, pulling her back from the brink. Clara nodded, fists clenched, feeling the weight of her choices sparking a fire in her chest. "We are the sum of our experiences, both good and bad," she shouted, challenging the creeping shadows. "You have no right to twist them into nightmares." With that proclamation, the shadows recoiled, recoiling in disbelief. Clara felt a surge of warmth course through her, igniting something deep within. The book pulsed against her side, feeling more like a trusted ally than a cursed burden. "Let us show them the strength we gain from our fears," she said, turning to Alex, who met her gaze with fiery determination. Together, they took a step forward, hands clasped. Clara summoned every ounce of courage as they advanced, pushing through the fog. "You are mere echoes," she proclaimed, her voice bold. "And today, we face our truths." The shadows twisted, taking form again. Flashes of hurt, rejection, and isolation twisted and tried to snare them, claws reaching for their confidence like a starving beast. Clara felt her heart race but stood firm. She focused, remembering moments of joy, laughter, and love that had blurred behind her pain. "Those experiences shape me, but they do not define me," Clara shouted into the abyss. "I am more than my fears." The dark creature recoiled, shrieking, seemingly wounded by her audacity. The ground trembled beneath them as they stepped closer to the core of the darkness, the figure flickering like an illusion. Clara could see the truth. The darkness's reflections began to splinter, revealing their true forms, not objects of terror but aspects of her life she had yet to embrace. A lost love, a family member who had left, a future weighed down by uncertainty. Accept them, Alex urged, echoing her sentiment. They cannot have power over us unless we let them. We have each other, we are not alone. And as they held on to each other tightly, Clara summoned the light within, a radiant beam born of hope that surged from her heart, seamlessly blending with Alex's unwavering fortitude. They let their energy shine through, manifesting it into warm light. The shadows writhed in agony, unable to withstand the brilliance, and with a last echoing screech, they scattered into whispers. Silence enveloped the courtyard, the oppressive air replaced with a soothing calm. For a moment, Clara and Alex stood illuminated, feeling the burden lift, as if the very weight of their fears had dissolved into the ether. The shadows had lost, and triumph surged through them, but with that victory came the realization of an unsettling truth. Another whisper drifted through the air, almost sweet yet laced with dread. "You've earned a reprieve," it murmured gently from the now still book. "But knowledge always comes at a cost." Clara frowned. "What do you mean?" The book shifted, pages quivering as it opened again, revealing new symbols and images, charts of faded dreams and hard lessons. With every moment of clarity, a sacrifice is required, a truth uncovered. In that moment, Clara understood. Knowledge was a double-edged sword. It invited challenges right alongside its gifts. What do I have to sacrifice? She wondered, heart pounding again. The fear of losing yourself, the book replied gently, resonating as it spoke. Only then can you unlock the next realm of wisdom, the weight of which remains uncharted. As Clara stared at the blank pages that suddenly filled with new, vivid images, she felt that familiar thrill of courage, intertwined with fear of the unknown, still echoing in her core. "Let us dive in," she said, squeezing Alex's hand. "If we face the darkness and emerge stronger, I can only imagine what lies ahead." Alex nodded, eyes shimmering with the energy pulsing around them. Together, no matter the cost. Determined, Clara opened the book once more, and the bright light enveloped them, ready to lead them deeper into their truths yet to be discovered. In that moment, Clara felt a sense of freedom wash over her. No matter what form sacrifice may take, she was prepared to rise and meet it head-on. The darkness receded, revealing a sprawling landscape bathed in light. Beyond the altar lay a path stretching forward, daring them into new realms of understanding, waiting to challenge everything they thought they knew. "Let us go make our mark," Clara said, stepping boldly onto the path. And with that, hand in hand, they ventured into the brilliance of the unknown, ready to embrace whatever was next. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next thrilling chapter in Clara's journey. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and support us. Flood the comments section with your reactions, theories, and what you think will happen next. And don't wait even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible conclusion. Let us keep this amazing community thriving and growing together.